Wallabies up against England, folks. It's been pretty one-sided traffic in recent years between these two sides, but we'll go through some lineups, some stats and predictions, and you guys can let me know your thoughts. But yeah, like I said, 5-0. The last 5 games all go in England's way. It's been a few years since we've seen the Wallabies taste victory over England, although the victory they did get was back in the 2015 World Cup in England. So it's like Michael Cheika made a deal with the devil and said, if you knock England out of their own World Cup, which is part of what they had a hand in them in Wales, then you'll just go on a big losing run. He said, hell yeah, it's worth it. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's been some pretty painful times. But, yeah, they're back home. They're under Dave Rennie for this one. And he'll be certainly looking to break that losing run. I should say, for you guys in the States, these games are all on Flow Sports. New Zealand against Ireland, Aussie against England, Wales against South Africa, the American games, the Japanese and French, they're all on. Link down in the description if you guys want to get yourself some rugby action in July. It's a good time to be a rugby fan, certainly. But yeah, the Wallabies lineup, they've brought back their guys from Japan. And those guys are inserted pretty much straight into the lineup. And there's a couple of debutants in the starting 15 as well. So Bell, Porecki and Alaalatoa. Tupou is the biggest name, like in terms of the biggest body. He's the biggest body missing from that front row, but he is still not available. Dave Rennie's hopeful that he's going to be back next week, but we'll kind of have to wait and see. He's missed a large part of Super Rugby. So, yeah, if they do chuck him back in, who knows what kind of shape he's going to be in. But Alaalatoa has had a really good season for the Brumbies, good scrummaging, good as part of that maul. Porecki's on his debut, but he's a pretty senior guy, so he's one of the more experienced guys at club level. He's been around the block. And then Gus Bell, in terms of work rate around the park, you won't get many better than him. He'll just have to do the business at scrum time. Darcy, Swain and Cadeyrn, Neville. Neville is apparently the oldest debutant for the Wallabies at like 33. Was it ever or since somebody else? But yeah, certainly 33 is more senior than most for making their first international appearance. But him and Swain have genuinely been really good in Super Rugby, so why not give them a crack? And then Leota, Hooper and Valetini has a nice balance to it in that back row. Hooper, we all know about him. He's captain. Gets through 1 million tackles and has got the wheels to get through any gaps that present themselves to him. Valetini has been a big ball-carrying number 8 this season for the Brumbies. And then Leota is also a big unit, but he's tall enough to be, considered for the second row as well. So, yeah, it's a good balance to that back row. I think Nick White and Quade Cooper are the 9-10 combo. That's obviously one of the areas where Dave's had a few choices, but he's, I guess, gone with the logic of if you're going to bring these guys back from Japan, you need to play them. So Cooper, he talked about kind of his experience and his calmness. He gets the nod at 10. James O'Connor, he said, is basically not quite match sharp enough. He's fit now. Another guy who's been coming back from injury, but maybe just lacking a bit of match sharpness. Nick White gets the nod. I think he's maybe the preferred guy at 9 at the moment, ahead of the likes of McDermott and ahead of Jake Gordon, but Gordon is the guy on the bench. Samu, Kerevi and Len Ikitau, that's a beautiful midfield combo, I have to say. Like Kerevi, when he plays alongside Ikitau, I think they complement each other really well. Like Ikitau is a really good playmaker and distributor of the ball. Kerevi is a big tank, isn't he? Going straight forward with those offloads. So, I really like the look of that midfield. I think that's one area that the Wallabies could get some pay if they can make the most of it. They can get some ball. And then Koroibete is the third of the guys back from Japan alongside Cooper and Kerevi. Plus Kellaway and Banks make out the back 3. So it's a nice looking Wallaby side, I say. Honestly, it's some of the guys haven't been, like Kellaway hasn't had the chance to shine at Super Rugby level, but last time he played for the Wallabies, he was looking good. So I'll be optimistic if I was a Wallabies fan, maybe. Fainga'a, and Slipper are the forward replacements in the front row. Phillip is your lock and Samu is your kind of utility Lucy. Gordon, Lolesio and Petaia are the back replacements. So honestly, I do think, maybe the fact that Slipper's having to cover tight head is not ideal, but he's done all right there in the past. I still think you'd rather have Tupou and Alaalatoa, but that kind of goes without saying. But nice looking Wallaby side. Just to put it quietly, even from a Kiwi. For the English, remember, they've had a lot of guys miss this tour, and Charlie Ewels has withdrawn for the rest of the tour. He's done a knee injury, although, as far as I'm aware, most England fans won't be too upset about that. But, Genge, George, and Steward is a good front row. I mean, obviously, Genge and George have been tearing it up in the Premiership. Steward's a guy who still gets a bit of a question mark about him, whether he's a kind of an international tight head. So him up against Gus Bell, and Gus Bell's accumulated a few caps, but is like far from a dominant scrummager. Very good around the park, like I mentioned. But yeah, I do think that's going to be an interesting battle with those two guys. Itoje and Hill, I quite like that locking duo, honestly. Like, Johnny Hill's a big lump of a man. And Maro, we all know about his skill set. Those long mitts of his can get over the ball. He's good at line-out time. So, I think you'd be pretty pleased. Interestingly, Courtney Laws is captain at 6, and there's a little bit of talk about that, about how Owen Farrell's been picked in the starting team, but not captaining the side for the first time since, 2018. So, it's a bit of a change. But, I mean, not a bad one. Courtney Laws is kind of Mr. Consistent, so that puts the pressure on Farrell, I guess, a little bit. But maybe it takes the pressure off him because he doesn't have to captain on the side. I'm not sure. But Laws, Curry, and Vunipola, it's kind of got a bit of an old school look about it, doesn't it? That back row, like with all the emerging back rowers in England that Eddie's finally been given a crack, like Simmons and Dombrad, who kind of both missed the tour. But yeah, Billy V has had a bit of a renaissance, hasn't he? Like, he's, after being dropped and missing a lot of England games, he's come back really well and just been in proper barnstorming form. So him up against Valetini is a battle I look forward to. And speaking of old school, you got Danny Kerr there as well. Him and Marcus Smith with that Quins combo. I mean, cohesion is a thing, so those guys should have it in spades. So that should give them a bit of go forward. And then Eddie spoke of the speed of the ruck ball kind of suiting his game. So I think he's kind of backing Danny Kerr to have a wee run if he thinks it's on. And then we all know about Marcus Smith's skill set as well. Farrell and Marchant is the midfield. So physically, I do think Samu Kerevi may run at Farrell, and Farrell's tackling technique may get him into trouble. But if he tackles well, then he can keep Kerevi quiet. But Kerevi's a tough guy to keep quiet. Nowell is on the right wing. The left wing is Cokanasiga, who's a big unit in himself, and then Freddie Steward, very secure under the high ball at the back. They may look to put some high balls up and see if Steward can give Tom Banks a hard time, because if I was backing anybody to get a high ball over Tom Banks, I would be putting a lot of money on Freddie Steward. So, the bench, Cowan-Dickie, Mako, and Joe Hayes. I do hope Joe Hayes gets some pretty decent minutes, because I think he's got a lot of potential. Chesham at line-out time, if he comes on, could be disruptive. Ludlam, Van Portfleet will be getting his debut if he comes on. Guy Porter there as well, and Henry Arundel. So there's a few inexperienced players, uncapped guys on that England bench. Arundel, if you haven't seen him play, is one of those kind of highlight reel guys. When he gets into space, can absolutely cut teams to bits. But whether he can do that international level is obviously another question. But yeah, it is being played at Perth. So it's a traditionally pretty fast running, kind of hard field. So we'll see if these guys are able to cut loose or whether it's a bit tight. I mentioned that England have won the last 5. The average score is 35-15, so it's been pretty lopsided in favour of England. The last game was that game last year in 2021. It was 32-15, so pretty dominant from England, although, again, like James Slipper had to start at tight head in that game, which wasn't ideal. England smashed the possession, 60%. They smashed the territory, 63%. The Wallabies couldn't get any tries. They spent, I think it was like 14 seconds in the English 22, which is absolutely brutal. They had 2 yellow cards. They conceded 18 penalties to 9. Like, it wasn't a happy day at the office for the Wallabies. They probably did well to get 15 points out of that one. England mauled it 7 times, and they've mauled it about that much in the Six Nations this year as well. So I would expect them to do a bit more of the same. But interestingly, despite all that, the Aussies are the favourites by 4 points with the bookies and by 5 points with the rugby forecast algorithm. So there you go, folks. If you England fans want England rugby gear, England Rugby Stores doing a summer sale, so I'll put a link down in the description to them. They usually have sales over the summer, kind of end of the regular season. So check that out if you want to get yourself some rugby gear. And if you think you know how the games are going to go. Super Brew predictions pool. We got kind of limited time if you want to get in before the games get underway. Sign up for that one. That's just a bit of fun to see who knows their rugby the best. But anyway, you guys let me know your thoughts. How are you predicting this one to go? And yes, I will talk to you guys again soon. See you later.